Hey, it's Mads and welcome back to my channel. Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to see you guys. I have a highly requested video this week and we are talking all about invisible zippers and how I install them. We are going over all my tips and tricks and little things I do to make sure I get no puckering, everything lines up, and I get it right the first time, every time. So if that is something you are interested in, please stay tuned for that. Before we jump super into it, I just want to say a very quick thank you to you guys. You guys have been amazing and so supportive. I'm so happy that I can make the videos you guys are looking for and that we can interact in this sort of way. It brings me so much joy to be able to create content that you guys are enjoying. This thing we've got going on is really just amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's jump into the video. Here is everything I'm going to be using. First things first, I just have a pair of scissors. This is just to knit the thread and stuff. Any good pair of scissors will work. I just like these small ones because they get a good point and that really helps you like get in there into the angles if you need to. I'm also using a invisible zipper foot. You can see in there it has like little ridges for the teeth of the zipper to go into. You can do an invisible zipper with a regular zipper foot. It just like the invisible zipper makes it totally foolproof and you don't really even have to like think about it. It's very, very simple and very easy. So I recommend using this foot, but if you have a regular zipper foot, it is just as easy. It just is a little bit more finicky. You just have to pay more attention to your stitches. I'm also just going to be using some straight pins. They're basic. A pin is a pin. I like these ones that don't have the tops. I just prefer them. I find they're more durable. They don't bend. All of my ones that like have tops end up doing this, and I hate that. So I like these straight pins, and I keep them in this little tin. The zipper I'm using today, this is the tag for it. I got it at my local fabric store. It's a closed end invisible ultra lightweight and it's a 20 centimeter. So here she is in all of her glory. So this is the back side and this is the front. These are my favorite zippers. I just love these poles a lot better. And she has her stopper down here. And this staple came in it already. I leave this staple in. I feel like you could totally take it out. I always just leave it in. I just feel like it's the best way to keep everything nice and neat and use it as like a stopper at the end. Keeps everything together. But that's my zipper. I have everything labeled already, so don't worry about that. We'll go over that in a second. But this is the zipper we're going to be using today. And then I just have some scrap fabric here that I've cut out and I've labeled it. So the side with the lines is going to be the wrong side of the fabric for this experiment, and the plain side will be the right side because that is an important factor. That is an important factor when working with an invisible zipper or zippers in general. You want to make sure you're working on the right or wrong side of the fabric depending on where you want the zipper to end up. So I have everything prepared and labeled for us to follow here. So let's start with the zipper. On the front of my zipper, and it's the front because it has the pull. The pull is on this side, so I'm calling this the front of my zipper. I have labeled this side with a 1 and this side with a 2 so we can keep track of them so that you guys can really see where these end up and how they relate to our pieces of fabric. So they are one zipper, they zip together, but I just have one side labeled 1 and the other side of the zipper labeled 2. Those are going to attach to side A, piece A of our fabric, which is this piece here, and I have that labeled on the right side. Wrong side is over here. This is the right side of the fabric. I have it labeled A here, and then I have this one labeled with a B. So we've got piece A and piece B, side 1 and side 2. As you can imagine, 1 and A go together and B and 2 go together. So imagine this is the side seam or a back seam or whatever seam you're putting into the zipper of your project. This can be a piece of fabric that's already attached, whatever opening you have. I'm just using these like as an easy example, but whatever seam you're putting in your zipper in is this A and this B seam. So the first thing we need to do is swap out our foot, and that's super simple. On this machine, I just push out the lever on the back, pop out the old foot and slip on the new one. Then we can move on to pinning the first sides together here. All right, A, B, 1 and 2. I'm gonna unzip my zipper, and I'm gonna start with side A and piece 1, and put her face down on top of piece A. Now, where you place this on the seam can be different in your pattern. Follow the instructions. But if you are just doing a simple overstitch at the top seam, or if you're sandwiching it, this is going to be a little bit different. But for the sake of this, I'm just lining it up at the top as you would if you were just going to do a simple top seam here. And I'm going to pop a pin in it above the little stopper. You can see this little stopper here, this little plastic piece. I'm putting in my pin above it because that's where the teeth of the zipper start. This just makes it really easy to line up. I'm gonna line these up and pop my pin in. So this is nice and flat at the top there. Now, pulling everything taut. This is like, I find the best way to do it is I kind of grab it, the fabric in between these two fingers here, and then between my thumb and front finger, I pull the fabric tight and the zipper tight along the straight edge. And I like to do it, I don't know, every 10 centimeters I like to pop a pin, or every couple of inches. I like doing it this way because it makes it like super secure, but if you're super confident, go for it. I just like having the extra security. And again, down a couple centimeters or 10 centimeters, pulling it really tight until I get to the end here. So this is the actual like zipper thing part, and I will pull it taut, make it straight, and put a pin right before that zipper starts, like the actual hardware of the zipper, and I pop a pin there because that's where I'm gonna stop. I've got all my pins in. I have 4, it's a short zipper. And again, these pins are kind of unnecessary, but I've got these lined up, and I've got my 1 on top of my piece A here. All right, now that I have everything lined up, everything's ready to go, I'm gonna pop the zipper and the piece of fabric in to the zipper foot, and I'm starting at the little plastic piece is where I'm going to start stitching. So I put it into the first groove here. You can see that there's like 2 grooves here, one right here and one back here for each side of the zipper. So I'm making sure this zipper tooth stays in this first track. So it's like gonna follow on its thing. So it's gonna stay aligned here, and pop my zipper foot down and in place. You can really see now, this is it's tucked away in his little home. I pop in my first stitch, and the real tip here is to keep this pretty tight and taut. I like to do a light tug on it while I'm sewing. That keeps it straight and aligned. The pins help, but we're gonna take them out as we go. So this first one's ready to come out. That first pin is out, and we have all of our teeth lined up. I'm just gonna stitch. Do a couple stitches, reverse to tack it in. And I used a darker thread so that you guys could see it against here. I'm getting right up against these teeth with this zipper foot, keeping this notch of the invisible zipper foot and the teeth of my zipper aligned so that the thread goes right next to it, giving it a good tug. As I get to the pins, I pull them out. They're really there for safety, and I like to be extra sure. And you can give your fabric a little tug if you know it's straight. Just keep everything super taut. Okay, we're at the tricky part here. I'm gonna do a couple more stitches, and I'm gonna manually do that without my presser foot, just turning it so I get it exact. Pop this pin out, and I'm gonna pull this as straight as I can and try to get one more stitch in there. Maybe one more. Yeah. So it's like really up against there now. And pop it in reverse. Reverse a couple of stitches. We have one side of the invisible zipper stitched in. You can see the stitch on the wrong side of the fabric. I did it as the darkest thread I had so you guys could see it against the white. And then the stitch in here. And I always test it because sometimes you just have to make sure it works. Zip it up. There we go. Your first side is in. We're gonna press it so it sits nicely. But that is the first side of your invisible zipper is done. This is like 45% complete. All we're gonna do is repeat it on the next side. We're gonna open her up. And I think this is where I used to get the most confused, is this next step and how to attach it to the other section. So I have piece B and side 2. And we want to make sure we're doing the same thing we did on this. So the zipper here is now flat against the right side of the fabric. I'm gonna twist this open so that it's flat. Now the back of the zipper and the front are there. We're gonna twist it one more time so that this flat piece of the top of the two covers up our B, and I'm lining it up in the same spot and popping a pin in it the exact same way we did the other. And the teeth should always be facing out from the fabric when doing an invisible zipper. That's just if you are more inclined to remember that instead of putting fronts together. If you want to think about as the teeth are facing out or the teeth are always open, you can think of it that way too. This one's less for security than it is like a visual reminder that this is where I'm going to start manually stitching. If you're using a regular zipper foot, this is now when you would switch the sides of the foot. You would take this off, move it to the other side, and move your needle over. Like your needle will have another setting. Mine looks like this, where it moves the needle to the side. Watch my needle. Yeah. But if you're using an invisible zipper foot, you don't need to do that. Now, on the first side, we used the outside groove. Now we're using the inside groove here. Same thing. Lining my piece and my zipper up so that the teeth of my zipper are now in this inside notch when I put it down. Sits right in there. The first time it was on this side, and now it's on this side. I do my first one manually to make sure it's in the right spot. And then you can go. All right, I'm at that pesky spot again. Straighten out my fabric. Make sure everything is nice and nice. Pull my pin out and just do a couple of manual stitches until it's super tight. All right, she's out of the sewing machine, and this is what it looks like now. My zipper closed. Look at it. She's nice and invisible in there. Giving this a press will make it nice and really, really, really flat. And these edges get sewn over when you do your finishings on your piece. So that's what takes care of this up here. Those will get nice and nice. And iron gets all this flat. And we just have this like open tail down here. What I like to do now is pop this up and away. You can pin it. I just hold it. I just hold it up and press with these two fingers like this seam together tightly against, you can see where my thumb and my nail sits, right against that seam. And that is where we're gonna sew. You can feel it in there. That is where we're gonna continue the stitch. We're essentially wanting to continue this stitch all the way down to close out the seam. And to do that, I'm gonna swap out my foot again for a regular straight stitch foot. I have done this next step with a zipper foot, not an invisible zipper foot, but a regular zipper foot. You can make that work, but it's a little too precarious for me. And I find that I made more mistakes, and using a straight foot is just as easy. It just takes a little bit of practice and a little bit more patience. Okay, I've got my fabric in my zipper. This is the seam we're wanting to continue. Gonna fold everything up, tuck it under my machine. I'm gonna line this up as good as I can in here. You really gotta shove it in there a wee bit. Shoving this in so that this stitch right here lines up with my needle, making sure I'm pulling the zipper out of the way. I even sometimes move my needle down, put tension on it, and that helps me line it up. I do these first, just like I do the others, hand stitching, because these are the ones that really matter. These ones that you're going back a little bit on that original seam, these are the ones that are gonna protect your garment and keep everything tucked away and beautiful. And then go back forward and finish the seam. So here you can see where I went over the back stitch, finished the seam, and then back stitched at the end. All right, here she is in all of her glory. She is stunning and beautiful, and I'm getting no like weird, lumpy, puckering, no like bubble at the bottom. Everything is nice and flat. She needs to be ironed, but she is stunning, beautiful, and flat. The zipper works, and it was like really easy. It took me 3 minutes 2 minutes to install. If there is anything I can suggest to you guys, it is practice, practice, practice. Cut out little sheets like this and undo and redo it. Do it without back tacking. That's how I learned when I did it in the beginning. I did it without like securing the stitch in, so that it was really easy to take out the stitches and redo it a million times. Just take some scrap fabric, write 1 and 2 and A and B, or 1 and 1, whatever you need to do to make it make sense. Color match it if you need to. Whatever makes the most sense for your brain. This is just what makes the most sense for my brain, for my little ADHD brain in there. That is what worked the best for me. And I really think practicing and getting your zippers right makes all the difference in the end of a garment or a bag or whatever you're making. Having a well installed zipper makes all the difference in making it look elevated and chic and slick and not crafty. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this week. I love seeing you. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm just like overwhelmed by your guys' love and support. This place has just become like such a fun and engaging and really like beautiful community that is growing and growing every day. I am so grateful for every single one of you. Thank you so much for welcoming me into your homes and on your screens. And that just like means the absolute like world to me. I don't know how to like process it sometimes. And we are a small community, but we are growing every day, and I am so freaking grateful for you. Okay, let me go grab you a cat. Oh, that's Mommy's curtain. Let go. Thank you. I have acquired a catch up. All right, baby girl, you want to say goodbye? See you next week. Bye. You want to show them your paws? You want to show them your little mittens? Oh, good girl. Good mittens. Good job. Good show and tell. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.